I fell one day transferring to my bed and was admitted to Wiston Hospital, where I stayed for 3 days. I was told I had no fractures, but I was shaken and bruised. I was discharged home on a Friday morning in March. An ambulance took me home and transferred me into a chair. I hadn't had an OT or physio assessment in hospital or a trial home visit. I hadn't been tried on a wheelchair in hospital. When I was alone, I found, due to my injuries, I was unable to transfer from the chair I was put in. I had shoulder and arm pain. I rang my GP at 11 a.m, who arranged for a reablement stroke CCP team to assess me. Nobody came. Nobody rang. I was alone. I rang the GP back at 5 p.m. I felt suicidal. I had been to the toilet and didn't want to soil myself. The GP said he would chase it up. I was assessed at 6:30 p.m. by a social worker who said no support was available at home. They said I needed OT and physio and needed an assessment. Newton Hospital was full. Because of my age, they said I was not suitable for a care home. The social worker arranged for me to be readmitted to Wiston Hospital for OT and physio that same day.
On the 29th of January, I was taken to A&E following a collapse at home, transferred to MAU, then onto a ward. On the 3rd of February, I was told I was being referred to an OT and social worker. I was also told I was fit to go home. On the 5th of February, I collapsed again. On the 6th of February, I was told I was going home on the 8th. On the 10th, I was told again that I was fit to go home. By this time, I had been in hospital for 13 days. 6 days later, after 19 days in hospital, I was able to go home. On the 20th of February, I was admitted to short-term residential care. I was discharged from residential rehabilitation with some crisis care to support me. I had passed through 6 various transfers of care. What if things worked differently? What story would I tell?
I live alone in a ground floor flat in St. Helens. I fell one day transferring to my bed. I called 999 and an ambulance came. The ambulance crew took me to Wiston Hospital and I had an x-ray. I was told I had no fractures, but I was shaken and bruised. The ambulance service contacted the integrated assessment point, explaining what I needed at home to support me after my fall. The integrated assessment point had arranged for some minor adaptation to be made at home, handrails and a wheelchair, and arranged for an OT and physio to show me how to transfer from bed to chair and use the toilet independently. I had shoulder and arm pain. I rang my OT, who arranged for a reablement CCP team to assess me, and they put in some additional social care support so that I could remain at home.
On the 29th of January, I was taken to A&E following a collapse at home, transferred to MAU, then onto a ward. As soon as I was transferred to the ward, the integrated discharge team were notified and they started to plan for my discharge. They arranged for a single assessment of my needs and I was told I could go home 3rd of January. Assessment included staff from physiotherapy and OT and nursing staff to carry out a falls risk assessment at home. On the 3rd of January, I went home. At home, the IDT had arranged for social care support, some home reablement and some minor adaptations.
Albert Einstein said we can't solve problems the same way we created them, so let's think differently.
Let's work together.
Do things differently.
make things better.
Use your power.
And show we care.